Have your sensitivities as an empath made it so you feel like you can't move forward on what you really want to do without a negative repercussion? Or maybe you just feel afraid to move forward because of your sensitivities, or you feel like they're a weakness. Well, wouldn't you rather have them feel like your superpowers so that you feel like a superhero, that you could handle and tackle anything that shows up in your life? Well, today I'm going to share with you three things. I'm going to share with you, one, what superpowers you actually have as an empath, why your sensitivities have felt like a weakness rather than the amazing superpowers that they are, and three, how you turn those sensitivities into your superpowers so you can actually go for what you really want without those negative repercussions. Hi, I'm Deepa Lou, and I'm the Creative Mystic, and I'm an empath. So everything I'm going to share with you today, I've learned from my own personal experience in my life or from working with my coaching clients who are empaths and HSPs. So let's get going. Why is it so important to transform your sensitivities into the actual superpowers that they are, so you feel like that superhero? Well, one is that's what they actually are. They're actually God-given gifts, superpowers, for you to go out and transform your life. See, if you don't ever own your superpowers that you've been given, your God-given superpowers, you're going to struggle in life. You're going to be unhappy. And when you actually start to transform them into the superpowers that they are, you'll be able to actually create the life you really want. You'll be able to go for what you want and make yourself happy. If you're tuning in today, most likely you're having some kind of struggle with being an empath. Some struggle where your life isn't quite working the way you wish it could work, the way you would really want it to be, and you're not acting on something that has meaning or that you desire in your life. And when you actually learn how to use your sensitivities as the superpowers they are, your life will be transformed. You will become happy. You will become empowered because you will now know how you're supposed to live in your life and how you can go about to manifest what you desire for you. So superpower number one as an empath, you have X-ray vision. Now what's X-ray vision? What comes to mind? What may come to mind probably is an X-ray machine, right? You go get X-rays, and what do you see? You see the X-ray, and you see, instead of seeing my face and my hair and my fingernails and my skin, you see what? The bones. You see my skull, my skeleton, you know, my arms, the bones that are in your arms and fingers, right? That's what you see. The other way you might think of X-ray vision is like in the movies, that, you know, the person has X-ray vision and they see through the walls and they see what's happening on the other side of the wall. Well, as an empath, you might be going, I can't see through the wall. But I will tell you, when you start to learn how your sensitivities work, you'll be able to see, maybe not with your eyes, but you will see with your senses. And I want to share a story with you of my experience of when I first started realizing about like the X-ray vision I have, which you have too, okay? But you have to learn how to use your gifts before it'll be the X-ray vision for you. So many years ago, I was walking. I used to be an outside sales commission, straight commission sales rep. I was walking in the hallway, through the hallway, and at that time, those offices had really high cubicle walls. They were over 6 feet tall. And so I could not see a thing behind those walls. It was just like an office. And I was walking through, couldn't see or hear anything inside of a cubicle. I was walking by this cubicle, but I could, like, almost see, because I could feel the energy on the inside of that cubicle, that somebody was upset inside the cubicle. So I walked to the opening of the cubicle and I stuck my head around and I looked in and I said, "Are you okay?" And the person turned around and said, "No, I'm not." "But how did you know that?" And I said, "Well, I have this weird ability that I can feel the energy in spaces even when I'm not in them, and I could feel that you were upset and that you were in here upset." So that's a form of X-ray vision. Couldn't see anything with my naked eyes, didn't hear anything with my ears, but I could see there was somebody on the inside, and I say see it not with my eyes, but see with my senses, that she was upset. You have that ability once you learn how to start to turn your sensitivities into your superpowers. So that's superpower number 1, okay? Superpower number 2 is ESP, extrasensory perception, what some call the sixth sense, right? It allows you to see the energy of where the trends are going. You can feel what's happening with the energy of other people, just like when I saw the energy of the person inside the cubicle, which is x-ray vision because she was in another room. But you can actually feel the energy when you have extrasensory perception. You as an empath have that sixth sense. Okay, we just have to teach you how to utilize it right. You can feel what's happening. Like I can go into offices way back when I was in sales, and I could feel if it was a good place to work. I didn't necessarily see anybody or nobody was upset. I could just sense the energy. You can see the energy trends that are happening in society if you start to pay attention and learn and acknowledge them. And that ESP gives you information that a lot of people don't get. So when you learn to become aware of that energy and acknowledge it, you start to be able to foresee what's going to happen. Now, I'm not talking about foreseeing like you're psychic and you're going to get a vision in your mind's eye that tells you, here's the lottery numbers. But you'll be able to sense the trends that are going and make adjustments for what you need to do. You can get a sense of what's the trend is happening, of where you want to be putting your energy, because it's really about putting your energy into moving forward and looking forward rather than to the past. But again, we have to help you turn your sensitivities into your superpowers so that you can start to use that perception. And here's the big thing. You can't just use it, but you have to trust it. When I talk to other empaths, my clients, and I start to give them messages from my spirit guide portals, they'll say, I had the feeling of blah, 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 but I doubted it or I didn't act on it. And so the key to the extrasensory perception being your superpower is that we teach you well enough how to use it, and you develop and practice your trust and faith in it so that you will utilize that information you've gotten for the benefit of in your life or in the life of your loved ones, or to help whoever you want to help. Okay, that's superpower number 2. So superpower number 3, you have the superpower to shape shift. Shape shift. And you might be thinking, what do you mean shape shift? I can't change the way my human body is, your physical body. No, you can't change maybe your physical body, but what I've seen with empaths, a lot of them do this. They don't even know they're doing it sometimes. And maybe you are aware, but when you get around different types of people, you see your personality shifting to more of what they are like than actually what you are actually like. Now, that can be a negative when you're just being batted around. You get around one kind of person and you're over here, and then you get around another kind of person and you're over there, and so it doesn't feel good when you're shape-shifting from person to person. Now, I've had empath clients come to me and tell me, oh yeah, I just meld to whatever I'm around, and but when you actually learn how to do it, you can use that shape-shifting to help you in creating the life you want, in manifesting what you want in your life, in actually bringing a community together. And it's not about shape-shifting to what they want you to be, but it's about being able to connect and bring people together. That is the superpower. See, if you just go to what they want, then you're just being batted around like a ball or balloon in the wind. The wind, the balloon is blowing it one way and then blowing it another way, and that's not going to be your superpower. But if you can utilize it to help bring a community together, to bring a group of people together, maybe you are a manager in a company, or you have your own business and you need to bring, like a sense of teamwork or cooperation together with a group of people, that's when shape-shifting can be your superpower, when you learn how to do that. Now, one of the ways you might know whether or not you already start having this ability is, I see this happen with me all the time, and I hear it with other empaths, is that I can meet complete strangers and they start telling me their life story. They start telling me everything about themselves when I haven't necessarily even asked. But what it is they feel a sense of comfort with me, and I bet with you. I'd love to hear in the comments, do you have that happen to you, where people share with you their life story, or more things that than you probably even want to hear sometimes, just because they feel comfortable with you. See, the shape shifting allows people to feel comfortable. And it doesn't necessarily mean you're doing anything specific in your personality. I have it happen sometimes when I'm just sitting there minding my own business out on a bench in a park. Someone sees me, starts talking to me, and pretty soon they're telling me their life story. And as an empath, what they feel is your openness. See, we're really open as empaths, and that openness lets people feel like they can come in and share with you. And so we want to be able to use this shape-shifting ability, though, to actually be a superpower that helps us to move forward on what it is that we're wanting to create in our lives. And in our lives, when you want to do anything in your life, pretty much, there's other people involved at some level. If you want your own business, there's other people involved. If you work in a company, there's other people involved. If you want to be in a relationship, there's other people involved. I tell people, you don't ever get successful on your own. Now, people might say, oh, I did it on my own. But if you have your own business, you have to have customers. So you didn't do it on your own. You have to have clients. Those people have to come to you and feel connected with you and want to buy from you before you can be successful. So we never do it completely on our own. Now, you might be thinking, I can't do any of those things you said. I've not noticed that I have X-ray vision, or that I have ESP, or that I'm a shapeshifter. Or maybe you have noticed you have one of them but not the other two. But I'm here to tell you, the only reason why your sensitivities haven't been your superpowers and they feel more like a weakness than a gift are for these 3 reasons. 1, your subconscious programming. From the time you were little, just about every empath I ever meet was told or heard, you're so sensitive, or you're too sensitive, or stop being so sensitive. Now, I know I say this in a lot of my videos, but I want you to get, this is what you've been programmed with. And even if it wasn't said to you directly, you get communicated in society, in the media, in the commercials, that you got to be tough to make it happen. Just do it. In other words, ignore how you feel and do it anyway. So that's telling you to be tough. So all that programming tells you that there's something wrong with you if you're sensitive. I know I heard it. I'd love to hear, did you hear that when you were young? Or did you feel that way, like you didn't quite fit? You ever feel that way, like you didn't fit? Or something was wrong with you because of the way you were programmed? See, so because of that belief, that programming keeps you looking at the world in a certain way, acting or not acting on certain things. Especially what I find for a lot of empaths is they don't act on what their true heart's desire is, because of usually for a couple reasons. One is a lot of them don't know what their true heart's desire is because, like, remember I talked about the shape-shifting, how if it's your sensitivity and it's not your superpower, you can be batted around like a balloon in the wind, where you just kind of go everywhere. And so you don't feel like you even know yourself enough to know what's true in your heart. And the other one, that reason why people don't act on their true heart's desire as an empath, is that not just not knowing it, but they don't feel that their energy is not strong enough for them to actually stay centered in their truth. And they just easily get deterred by the next person that comes in the room and their agenda. So if they have a goal for something they need, pretty soon you're over there helping them with that goal instead of sticking with what's my direction, what's my goal. You're like, over here, let me help them with their goal, and then you go back to your goal, and then pretty soon someone else comes over to the right, helping the other person with their goal, and you don't get anywhere with it. So that programming keeps you swerving back and forth between different people's energies rather than your own. So that programming, okay? The other reason why, second reason why your sensitivities haven't been your superpowers is you haven't learned how to make them your superpowers. You were never taught how to turn them into your superpowers. If you ever watch those superpower movies, the superhero movies, I should say, where they have superpowers, when they first discover they're a superhero, if you've ever watched any of those movies, they have to learn how to use those superpowers. And if they're out of control, sometimes they wreak havoc, right? Like, if you've ever watched any of the X-Men or Avengers, that, like if they don't know how to control them, it actually causes more problems than help. Same thing with you as an empath and your sensitivities, okay? Now, maybe you don't watch superpower movies, or superhero movies, I should say. Just think about anything you've ever learned in your life, right? Anything you're really good at. Were you instantaneously good at it? No, you have to practice it, right? You have to practice it. And if you haven't been programmed to think it's a superpower, you're not practicing it as a superpower. What you've been practicing about is to stop being sensitive, or to stop, you wish they would go away, or to, like, you practice how to avoid all the things that that make your sensitivities a challenge, which doesn't help you move forward in your life and be thriving rather than just surviving. And so that's the second reason why your sensitivities have felt like a weakness rather than a superpower. And the third one is you have no role models. Let's think about it. Role models are really important for most people. And as an empath, what role models do you know of? I didn't have a one. I didn't have anybody I knew who was an empath. In fact, most of the people I meet when you're young, you don't even know you're an empath because your parents didn't know to be able to tell you. So you didn't know, oh, I'm this empath with these special gifts. I need to do things differently. You just realized you couldn't do it the way everybody else was doing it, or that you struggled when you tried to do it that way. That was me. I was trying to do it the way everybody else was. I would go out and work hard, and then I'd be like, I'd practically fall on the table because I couldn't maintain it. And that wore me out after a while because I couldn't maintain that pushing energy that I was raised with, that I thought I have to be successful. Have you had that? I'd love to hear it in the comments if you have. So in order for you to start to step into your sensitivities as the superpowers that they are, you need support, you need someone to help you. And because you haven't had any of these role models, you feel uncomfortable when you stand in your power, when you own your power, especially if you're a woman. As a woman, we have not been taught to be powerful people. In fact, most of us have been taught to shy away from our power, to diminish our power. And if we step into it, it feels uncomfortable and unfamiliar, even foreign, because we've sat back and let other people, mostly men, go into their power. And so if you're an empath that is a woman, you're going to have that fighting against you too in your programming, that, ooh, maybe it's not good to be powerful. Maybe if I'm powerful, I won't ever have a significant other. Or if I'm powerful, people will think bad things about me. They'll think I'm the B word or something else, And so we have to help you with that. We have to help you with these three blocks. Not to say blocks, but these three reasons of why your sensitivities are seen as a weakness rather than a superpower. So I'm going to recap for you real quick. Your subconscious programming. You've never been taught how to use your sensitivities as the superpowers that they are. And 3, you've had no role models or support system for being and acknowledging the superpowers that you have. Those are the reasons why your sensitivities have been a weakness rather than the superpower that they are. So how do you transform your sensitivities into your superpowers? One, you have to change your programming. We have to change your subconscious programming in your mind, in your subconscious mind, from thinking that they're a weakness or a curse, and to that they are your superpowers. And the way you change that programming is through repetition, experience, and healing. Now, healing was listed last, but it's actually first. Healing is about letting go of belief systems that are no longer serving you, letting go of habits and your behaviors that are no longer serving you, letting go of people that are no longer serving you, that are actually dragging you down and keeping you in the belief that your sensitivities are a problem or a challenge by them reminding you, oh, you're so sensitive. Letting go, healing, okay? Then you got to have repetition, and you're thinking repetition of what? Repetition of let's reprogram the grooves in your brain. Now, when I talk about the grooves, I'm talking about your neural pathways, your neurons and synapses firing in a certain direction. What's been happening, if your sensitivities have been a challenge in your life, is that you've been programmed to think that your sensitivities, that there's something wrong with you because you have them, or that it's a weakness or a curse, and we need to change it. So one of the things I recommend you do is you start to say, my sensitivities are my superpowers. My sensitivities are my superpowers. I have amazing superpowers. Start saying that. And anytime you start to see something that starts to feel like, what's wrong with me? Because you're sensitive, you want to say that. No, I have great superpowers. I have amazing superpowers. My sensitivities are my superpowers. Because you've been having these neural pathways fire off in a certain direction for many, many years, and those synapses are strong. And so we have to start by repetition of what the self-talk is that you're saying to yourself to start the programming to change. Okay? Now, how do you get it to change faster? Is through experience. Now, the more impactful the experience, the faster the programming change happens. Now, you might be thinking, what experience do I do differently? Now, I can't tell you specifically for you unless I was working with you one-on-one, but I can give you some examples of things. Because one of the things I've learned from working with my clients is that we all have our individual blocks. We all have our own blind spots. Everybody has them, and that's the amazing gift of getting individual coaching, is that you want a coach that knows how to work with an empath if you're going to get one, and you want one that can zero in on what is blocking specifically you. Not the majority of people, but you specifically. Because maybe you've done a training before where it seemed to work for some people, but it didn't work for you. And the reason being is it didn't work for you, not because there's something wrong with you, but because you're not wired the way the person who created that program is. And so it won't work for you. So the great gift of individual coaching is that we zero in on you. It's one of the things I do with my spirit guide portals, is I ask my spirit guides who wants to show up in each of my clients' coaching sessions. So if you worked with me, it would be zeroing on that, and we get to right where your blocks are. So if I may not be a fit for you, but if you are looking for an individual coach, please make sure you get one where they know how empaths are wired, what empaths need, and can help you zero in on what's blocking you. Because it's not just about just do it. It's about what's the block? What's the belief that's holding you back? And when you get to that, that's when life transforms. Now, when we get you to be working with your superpowers that you have, life is going to get transformed, because that's taking one step closer to, we're letting go of those blocks, okay? So you want to have experiences where you start to, one, become aware of when you are putting out a cause to use your sensitivity as a superpower. Remember, I talked about shape-shifting in a way that actually brings collaboration. If you're going to use your X-ray vision, it's about using it to see through when someone's putting on a facade. Let me show you an example. I've been able to see through people's facades for years, but when I first met my wife, she was gonna maybe work with this other person. And I had met the person, but I could see that she wasn't exactly not that she was a liar, okay, but she couldn't actually tell the truth all the time. She wasn't able to actually see it. And so doing a joint venture with her would be probably not a good idea because of that reason. But I wasn't thinking about doing a joint venture, so I usually keep things to myself. I don't talk about what I pick up on other people with anybody because I I mean, it's not for me to share. It's just something I pick up on and I keep it to myself. Well, because she's my wife now, but back then she was my partner. She was talking to me about how great this person was, and she was gonna do this joint venture with her, and I said, well, I don't know if you should do that. She said, why? I said, well, I don't like to talk bad about people, but I pick up on that she's not exactly honest about everything. Not that she's a bad person, but that she has a hard time even acknowledging what the truth is. And so she obviously can't be honest if she can't acknowledge what it is. And so I said, so just be really careful. So she started paying attention to what the woman was doing, and she said, oh, you're right. I'm not going to move forward on it. So that's how you can use that ability of X-ray vision to work for you so that you don't get involved in joint ventures or relationships with other people that it could turn into something not so great for you. Okay, so when you want to be able to start to notice when you get those feelings. Now right now what probably happens is you get a feeling or a sense, or you see something, like with my X-ray vision I get where I see things, and you probably discount it. Oh, how would I know that? Because that happened to me for a long time. I would discount it and go, oh, I'm thinking poorly of the person, or that. But I would, as I would watch, I would see it would always come true. And so I started to realize, oh, this is like a gift I have, a superpower that keeps me like protected in the sense of I don't get involved in with people that aren't on the up and up, that maybe, like I said, aren't bad people, but can't really see the truth themselves. So how could they actually be truthful with you? And so you want to start to have experiences where you start to acknowledge that and sense it. Hopefully that's making sense. If not, please put some questions in the comments. I'd love to help you out more. Okay. Now, the other thing you have to do to turn them into your superpowers, you have to understand how your gifts are communicating to you. Okay. Your superpowers are communicating to you intuitively in some way. Now, I find for most empaths, it starts off with like a sensing, a feeling, not necessarily an emotion, but a sensing, a feeling on the inside. That's how mine started. It wasn't until I started doing these spirit guide portals and had this aspiration to create paintings of spirit guides and masters where they were a blessing that I started to have visions. And so, but I've seen with most empaths, that's how your intuition starts to speak to you. That's how your superpowers are going to speak to you, through that intuitive ability. And you have to really pay attention to what are you sensing inwardly. What are you sensing with your body? What are you sensing in your mind? Or what are you sensing? Now, if you're just having fear, that's going to make everything go haywire. Fear like makes it so that you can't trust it and that you don't know what really is true. Okay, and that's the biggest thing that happens. And the biggest fear I see people have is, what if I'm wrong? I've had that a lot of times. I still can have it. Sometimes if I'm really tired, I'll go, oh, what if I'm wrong? But you got to just like, no, stop. Nothing's wrong, okay? So that's the thing, is you have to start to accept and acknowledge those superpowers and start to understand, like, how do you start to understand how your intuition is speaking to you. And that takes practice. Okay, it's one of the things I do with a lot of my clients, is start to teach them how to understand the language of your intuition, because how your intuition speaks to you may not be how it speaks to me or to another person. How the intuition speaks to my wife is totally different than how my intuition speaks to me. The other thing you want to learn how to do that helps you learn that language is you want to develop your spiritual connection with your higher power. Whatever higher power you believe in, you want to develop that into that connection, because that connection deepens your faith. That connection deepens your ability to understand and love and accept yourself the way you are, because that's part of it, is that love and acceptance of yourself. Okay? third thing you got to do is you got to make strong energy deposits into your energy account. If you've been watching my other videos, you might have seen them, but if you haven't, go check out my 4-part series of your most valuable asset. They all have different names, but they went 4 in a row of, empaths, your most valuable asset. And you can check out also why, as an empath, not to focus on protection. Both of those series, those videos, episodes, have how to start making strong energy deposits into your energy account, because having that strong energy makes all the difference in the world, whether you're getting swayed off into other people's energy or not. And so it might sound like a lot, but once you start incorporating a little bit here, a little bit there, it's not a lot, okay? And then the fourth one is you got to get support. You have to get support from a community of other empaths and HSPs that are focused on, these are your superpowers, that are focused on making strong energy deposits into your energy account. Because I've gotten involved in some of the empath groups, and a lot of them focus on all the problems that are happening in their life. Now, you have to acknowledge the problem before you can fix it, but you don't want to get fixated on that problem. You want to go, okay, this is what I need to change. And that's what I want to help you with, is how do you make these changes so you can go from surviving to thriving, so you can actually manifest in your life what you truly desire. Okay, so in that getting support, if you're really ready to move forward and you really want to transform your life and start to manifest what you truly desire in your life, you got to get a coach. I mentioned it earlier. Get a coach that understands how empaths works, how empaths are wired, what they need, how to turn your sensitivities into your superpowers, not to ignore them and pretend like you don't have them when you do. If you feel like you're a fit with me, please take advantage of my next step connection call. Totally complimentary. We can see if we're a fit and if you're ready to move forward. Okay? Just check in the show notes, deepaloo.com/gift, and go ahead and sign up for that next step connection call. All right? Now, I'd love to hear in the comments I'm always looking at ways to better support you as an empath. Would you rather have individual coaching or a group class? Because I've been thinking about what I can do more to actually help transform your life and take you to the next level. And I'd love to hear in the comments whether you would rather have that individual connection and coaching, or you're looking for a class that would help you start to make some of these transformative changes so that you can really be thriving in your life rather than just surviving. Love to hear from you, and remember, greatness is within you. It's time to shine your light. I'll see you in the next video.